Hello, welcome to our talk about elasticity, which is chapter 6 in our reading. And I just want to let you know that this chapter, elasticity chapter, builds upon our last reading assignment, which was chapter 3, supply and demand. And I'm going to explain clearly how the concept of elasticity relates to supply and demand. So what we've been trying to do thus far is trying to explain how do market participants communicate. And in chapter 3, when we talked about supply and demand, we determined or discussed how price is used to communicate between suppliers and demanders, buyers and sellers, firms and businesses. So prices are used to transmit value from consumers to producers. The theory is the more you want to pay for something, that sends a signal to the producer, the more you value it. And that gives them an incentive to produce more. From a producer point of view, price conveys costs. So the assumption here is the higher the price, presumably the higher the cost it is to produce that good or service. So costs are transmitted from producers to consumers through price. Now, when we look at, let's just focus on, instead of focusing on supply, let's focus on demand. And again, when we talked about the supply and demand chapter, we look at demand is, in this case, just kind of a way to gauge intentions of consumers. How much are consumers willing and able to demand specific quantities at different prices in a given time period? Now, this ceteris paribus here, that's Latin for all else being equal. Now, the reason why economists throw ceteris paribus at the end of it is we know that there are things other than price that affect demand. But what we're assuming is all of those other things that affect price. Think about tastes, income, quality of service, things like that. They matter, but we're assuming that they're held constant. And the only thing we're allowing to change is the price of the product, and we're seeing what impact it has on demand. And that's what basically this means. So, aside from price, the book lists some things that consumers care about other than price. Tastes. When tastes change, product demand changes. The income of the consumer. If you get fired from your job and your income drops to zero, this is going to affect your demand for many products. So income is a determinant of demand. Your expectations of the future have a big impact. If you think you're going to lose your job in the near future, this is definitely going to impact your demand for goods and services. And available goods, alternative goods. So if there is a viable substitute out there, it's going to definitely impact your demand for a particular good or service. Now, these tastes, income, expectations, and other goods, these are just 4 generic determinants of demand. There are many, many determinants of demand. What you don't see listed here is price. Price is indeed a determinant of demand, but what we're doing is we're taking price and we're taking it out of the group and we're isolating it. And with demand, we're saying, what if we change price? Let's say we increase price. What impact will it have on quantity demanded? And what we did is we found out that there's an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. When we increase price, quantity demanded tends to decrease. And when we decrease price, quantity demanded tends to increase. This inverse relationship, when I say inverse, notice how this is going up, This is going down, this is going down, this is going up. That's the inverse relationship. This is the law of demand. Now, what we're going to do is with this chapter, we're going to go beyond the law of demand. We're going to go beyond simple correlation. Notice how when price goes up and coin demand goes down, what you don't know is how much price went up and how much demand went down. This chapter is going to focus on the magnitudes of the change. So that relationship between price and coin demanded can be explained graphically using the demand curve. The demand curve shows the relationship between price and quantity demanded. So let's take a look at a demand curve. And again, when we look at the demand curve, it's the slope of the demand curve is going to represent this inverse relationship or the law of demand. So let's take a look. Here are the different prices being offered, and here are the demand for those at those prices. And we can see when the price is 50 cents, demand is only 1. When you lower price, so price is going down, you could see demand is 2. So coin demanded went up because it went from 1 to 2. And now if we graph all of this information, we see that we could form a demand curve. So at price 50, we demand 1. So price 50, we demand 1. At, let's say, price 30, we demand 9. At price 30, we demand, that's 9. And so on. And this demand curve basically shows that relationship between price and quantity demanded. Now, what price elasticity does, it says, well, how much did price go up or down, and how much did demand go up or down? So in other words, price elasticity is really a sensitivity analysis. So what we're going to see is we're going to see how sensitive are consumers to a change in price. Now keep in mind, price elasticity. There is an elasticity for every single determinant of demand. Price is just one determinant. So in other words, when we looked at the previous slide, we showed tastes as a determinant of demand, income, expectations. Well, guess what? Each one of these has an elasticity associated with it. So in other words, what we're asking with price elasticity is how sensitive are consumers to a change in price? Well, we could also ask how sensitive are consumers to a change in tastes? How sensitive are consumers to a change in income? How sensitive are consumers to a change in expectations? In other words, there is an elasticity analysis for every determinant of demand. We're just focusing on one particular type of elasticity, price elasticity. And what we're asking, the question we're asking with price elasticity, how sensitive are consumers to a change in price? And what we're going to do is this is going to be our ending point for this particular video. And in our next video, we're going to explore how we measure that sensitivity.